This week in comic books, we get a story from DC on Man-Bat. Yeah, we kind of drug him back out into this whole future state stuff, and basically it's a drug addict story, which is always the same thing. Oh, please, I'll do better. So how do you make all that garbage interesting? You add Suicide Squad to it. Over in the land of Marvel, we see Black Knight, and we find out that he's really just a self-absorbed, egotistical prick because he thinks he has this lineage. He learns the truth and realizes what he's going to do better for himself. Imagine that. We call that a hero's arc. Like over in Indies, where I read 4 indie books, and they're all just pretty I, I don't know what's going on there. It's the same stuff, and they're all garbage. So let's work really hard to get that thumbs down today. Roll that intro. Hey, you wonderful weirdos. I'm Pocan Joe, and as always, you're pretty cool for swinging by. Appreciate having you here. If this is your first time viewing, basically, I read a stack of comic books, like a pretty hefty stack of them. And I read them, and I try to get little nuances and little cool stuff out of them, and sometimes it's just garbage that we read. So let's jump into this and find out if me spending this much money on comic books is actually worth my time, energies, and efforts. I don't know. Let's start off with Superman of Metropolis. Now, this turned out to be pretty cool, actually. I like this because we're kind of dealing with this whole concept, especially in issue 2, the final one of this Future State series. We kind of deal with this whole concept of lineage or legacy. You know, if you have a great father, what is the responsibility to that next one, whether it be a boy or a girl? In this case, it's Superboy, who later becomes Superman of Metropolis, hence the title. What is his responsibilities exactly, having such a great father? And we see that in here because Brain Cell actually has a bunch of clones of various Supermans from various genres. So we got everything from punching Nazis in the face to the resurrection of Superman's death and coping with his new powers and everything in between. And they're kind of lecturing him while they're fighting him about, you should do better, you should be more equipped, you blah 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 blah. And then at the end of the story, Superboy realizes that I need to break away from this legacy and just be the Superman of Metropolis, because that's the best me that I can be. Free agency of an individual, that is great, and that is truly the aspect of the whole concept of having to live your own life, that you're not tied to these other chains. So I thought that was really good. I thought it was very simplistically told in here, but you got the meaning of it. So definitely a good read this week. Both of them just great reads. Let's see here. Man-Bat. Man-Bat is your typical drug addiction story. We're talking about the doctor here who's addicted to taking the serum that makes him into Man-Bat, a more powerful, more agile, something with power. The fix, if you will. And in this, he's kind of coping with that. So basically, you get a bunch of "I'll do better," "I can try harder," "I'll figure this out," I can use this stuff and it will make me better and more efficient," and blah blah blah. The same stuff you hear from people that are addicted to drugs. And it comes off very whiny and very slow paced, and the action scenes in it, when they finally did happen, you're still getting over the whole whiny character syndrome that happens in here. However, what happens if Batman fails to keep him contained, and now Amanda Waller's like, yeah, it's time to shoot the Suicide Squad after him? What explanation could you possibly have then? Now it's a call to action. So I like that. I'm going to pick up issue 2 of this. Again, Man-Bat, Future State #1. Yeah. Okay, next. Hellblazer, Rise and Fall. This is okay. It's the end of this particular Hellblazer run. Basically, John Constantine defeats this demon that feeds off despair. More especially the despair of billionaires for all the wickedness that they've done. And what it does, it gets them angel wings. However, like dealing with any devil, there is a trick. It makes them, they try to fly to heaven to get through the pearly gates or whatever, and it actually makes them crash Earth and die. And then he feeds off that despair as well. And of course, he's hiding out in a dead kid that John Constantine's kind of responsible for the death of. In the end here, we get it, and we actually get a little bit of wink, wink, nod, nod, and a long kiss with Satan kissing John Constantine in here. It comes off weird, but I guess John Constantine's bisexual. Like, I don't know. I've been out of John Constantine for a while, If you know better than I do, please comment down below. Let's go right into Marvel. That's all the DC that I got this week. So we're going to shoot into Marvel. So in here, Venom, number, what is this? 33. So, and it's kind of, this gets kind of weird. So we know Eddie Brock's in the codex, if you will, of this whole Venomized hive, if you will. And he's there with Eddie Brock, Flash, and Rex, right? They're all in there. And they're going to battle from the inside to free themselves. And there's a little suicide mission that has to happen in here. And of course, Flash Thompson is like, I'll do it, blah, blah, blah. Gets surrounded by these symbiotes that have been kind of set off to the side that are kind of rebellious to some degree. And they kind of surround him and make him into a white dragon, a white symbiote dragon, right? Kind of thing. It's weird. I really like how they're using Dylan in this. Cates has done a great job exploring this particular character. The hero's monologue from Spider-Man 2 Dylan, and Dylan just wanting to just be Dylan. Powerful Dylan, and he wants to help and destroy this enemy Null that is out there. Also, we get some cool Null action in here too. It was spot on. I really enjoyed this. This is one of my highly recommended storylines. I think it's interesting. Next, Black Knight. Black Knight teaches us that sometimes we can't see past our own narrative. I really like that description. I think it makes sense. Because imagine, if you will, if you've ever had a problem with somebody and it just kind of sticks in your craw, you start writing these little scripts and scenarios in your head of what you're going to tell them and what blah, 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 and you're going to give them, right? Black Knight kind of does that in here too. We find out that the narrative that's in the Old English is actually in his own head and people can hear it. Like he's, I think Swordmaster and Arrow are kind of in this storyline too. And they kind of play the outside influence, if you will. So Black Knight finds out that Ebony Maw, it can actually, not Ebony Maw, but the Ebony Blade, actually didn't pick the most, virtuous, bravish person there was in his lineage. Null kind of shows him was actually, it actually picked the most weakest person to turn him into like a bloodlust, ragingest person. So you don't have it because you're noble or come from a noble lineage. You're kind of a jerk and a prick, and that's why you're able to use it. With this realization, again, we talk about self-agency, he's able to change his ways. So will he, and how effective would it be? I also like the witty banter in this. I think it's very well written, and it gives light on a character that sometimes kind of fades in and out of Marvel lore and story a little bit. So good read. Next, we have Avengers, Mick Strike. This was a weird book. All right, we get this kind of organic techno, I don't know how to describe MacGuffin. We'll just call it a MacGuffin. And what it does is it replicates itself into a bigger form by eating energy and matter around it, and it creates this kind of monster thing. So the Avengers have to go up against it. Some weird stuff happened in here. Like, randomly, Black Panther, I have a theory of what I can do. And it, jumps into the monster, and he's able to fight it from the inside out because he deduced in some way, shape, or form, we don't know, that it can't digest vibranium. It didn't give us any hints, no panels that explained it or anything like that. It's just something he just kind of was like, I think this is it. Whatever. It's so off-putting, it just kind of stopped the story for me for a second. But then it was easy to get picked right back up because all the superheroes now have mech suits that are coated with vibranium, and they're going to go find these things because apparently there's more of them. They know that at least there's 3, but there's actually 5, and they're going to go fight them. I'll probably continue reading this a little bit more. One other thing that just kind of stops the story in the middle of nowhere, and go figure, it's with Captain Marvel. Go figure that, right? Is this panel right here. Like that, you got all this cool action stuff going on, and we get this, I get what you're going for, like a zoom in cool photo, right? But it's literally just her face, and she's looking like she got about another 20 pounds on her. Like, it's just, it was weird. And I couldn't understand why we didn't, that right there, him changing, why that wasn't the close-up thing that you saw, because there's action in that photo, where the other one is just this. Like, ugh. Like, who wants to, you didn't want to see that, and there it is in a comic book. All in all, it was a good story. I did enjoy it. Immortal Hulk, so this whole leader story thing, I've been kind of critical of it, but this was actually a good issue because we actually get to see Joe Fixit be Joe Fixit. Like, he tells you how to pickpocket, use a credit card, use a pawn shop, or use a jewelry store, and then use a pawn shop and collect. Like, he teaches you all the things you shouldn't need to know in here. And at the end, still steps up to be a hero in this as somebody who worships the cult of Hulk. Not really, but they're more like a gaggle of people that are all about, yeah, Hulk. Get harassed by some cops, and he's like, okay, baby Hulk, dumb Hulk, come out and take care of this business. And he does. So that happens in here, and we also get this new Gamma Flight team that kind of aren't hearing this mess, and they're trying to shut it down. So we got our first confrontation with them two without Banner and without the Devil Hulk. Really cool. Also, Samson tries to find his body in here, but nobody cared about that. And Rick Ross showed up. Rick Ross. Strange Academy. Still loving this book. We get our mysterious person that's down in the caves. This is number 8, by the way. He's down in the caves of Doctor Strange thing, and he's kind of talking to Emily here, trying to convince her that magic is in itself an illusion, and how can you trust everything that's going on? Like, he's playing the little devil on the shoulder there, talking to you. He's kind of playing that role in this. Who this character is, I don't know. I can't even speculate on it. If you've been reading this and you have maybe a hint or a clue or something we should be looking at, definitely comment down below, because I'm kind of wanting to know before the story reveals it, so I can kind of wrap my head around it instead of just showing up. Also, we get this unusual ring, which we find out was part of Doyle's crown. Doyle's back alive, and he's meeting with a guidance counselor at the school about being dead and coming alive. And then it also having to deal with, he knows he's going to be this villainous person and better him than, the other students. And it sounds sacrificial, but the therapist is a little, this doesn't sound right. I mean, even for a demon from another dimension, right? It's kind of off-putting. And also we see Rocket Raccoon and Groot in here, who teach us a lesson that Earth isn't the oldest place in the universe. And therefore magical stuff comes from ancient places, which means sometimes you might have to travel beyond your scope, beyond your reality, right? Sometimes you got to think outside the box, right? And they kind of teach that lesson in here, and I thought that was really smart in their own little Rocket and Groot way. Super cool little ring here. We may be seeing something similar to it in the Villains Party, because I was really enthralled by this ring, and it's kind of lavy. I don't know. We'll figure something out. But again, Scotty Young is doing a great job on this storytelling. The art, these two guys from Arrows, they kind of meet up and they just produce some of the best stuff out there right now. Really enjoying it. And we're going to talk about indies this week. Now, I know you heard the intro. So, I guess I should always preface it this. If I'm speaking, I'm just giving my personal opinion. If these were things that you liked and you enjoyed, I don't mean any harm or offense to it. But this week in the indies, I just kind of hoping for some clickage, right? I had to get Snake Eyes Dead Game to find out why the Bullet was in it, and then come find out so is Atomic Man, both properties owned by IDW. And Joe Colton, the founder of the G.I. Joe team, how he leads this adventure team that finds mystical items and stuff, and some random reason, Snake Eyes is attached to these guys. So Snake Eyes has his first battle with Kurgan. And he has to go to the frozen north of Norway or some Icelandic type country. He's fighting here. There's some snow ninjas there that decide to fight him. Where they came from, nobody knows. Just to meet up with Thor. Oh, he also fights a bear. Just a random bear. Polar bear, which I think he killed. Which I think is against the law. Isn't that like an endangered species? It doesn't matter. So he meets up with Thor, who shows up out of nowhere and is like, "Oh, you get the hammer because you're the warrior," or some mess. And then knocks him into the ice. He comes out of the ice with Thor's hammer, which is this weird looking. And he's confronted by Kurgan, who's there. And he's like, "Thanks for getting me the hammer there, Mr. Warrior," and kicks him and takes the hammer from him. All of a sudden, blop, 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 bang, 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 pew, pew, pew. Destro and the Baroness show up and shoot the guy. And that's where they left it off. This thing is all over the place. It's hard to follow, and it's just, it's paced weird. It's the only way I can put it. I'm gonna keep reading it because I'm just out of just genuine curiosity. I think at this point that I'm already into issue 4 in a run, so I might as well go ahead and finish it. But it's not bad. It's just it's not like a story. It's like flashback. It's a montage. That's what it is. It is a montage. It's just things happening periodically throughout the story. Bop, 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 bop. That's it. All right, moving on. Maniac of New York. This was interesting. I'm not really sure what's going on here. The first issue doesn't really give us much information other than the fact that on 2016, there was a madman who chopped up a bunch of people in Times Square on New Year's Day. From there to today's date, or in this book, 2020, this guy running around killing everybody has just become like a regular part of life. Like, it's like, hey, there was an attack today, and even in their little newscast, and oh, by the way, the new subway runs automatically, which they have a serial killer running around, and they thought it would be a good idea to have a subway that runs automatically. So we kind of know where that story's going to go. Also, the person in charge of the task force, which is pretty much just a joke at this point, you basically get a closet with a desk, is a female police officer who's very passionate about this and thinks she's going to come in and just do the right thing. And she teams up with another female police officer who's a little bit more street. Yeah, she's about the street. And apparently she was a snitch at one point. All the other cops hate her. But she can hold her own because she's... whatever. The story leaves off with him entering, hey, you guessed it, that automatic trade. And he's got his little machete, and he's going to start hacking and dicing in here. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if this is a supernatural being or if it's something else. Apparently, our female leader of the task force is... she has some knowledge of it. Like, she's seen this character before in Jersey when they were called something else. I don't know. This is weird. I'll probably check out another issue before it gets weird. Redemption. Hey, if you like post-apocalyptic westerns, this is it. That's it. That's all the story is. At the end, however, if you read the writer's bio, she wants to make sure that you understand that their characters are female and they're queer. Not me. Don't go start giving me thumbs down. She put that in her bio in the back. She wants to be sure that you understand that. You're too stupid. I don't know. The art in here is okay. It's that scratchy kind of art. I don't much care for it. And the story's not anything overly new to us. We're going to get the cowboy in black coming to save the town. Water's a big deal. The town's ran by a zealot preacher and his henchman, the sheriff. Yep, that's it. I won't be picking up any more of that. Next is a Spectre Inspector. First off, hard title to say. I had to practice that before I did this today. This is the one per store variant. I thought it was going to be like a Scooby-Doo type of thing. And for the most part it is. It's a cross between Ghost Hunters, Scooby-Doo, with art from Steven Universe. I only vaguely remember that cartoon because I think my daughter enjoyed it. And it's kind of all meshed together. So basically a demon takes over one of the hunters. And this is a comedy, by the way. There's nothing serious to it. And it has to find its name because so after it's lost its name, it inhabited the lady's body. It's been there for like 100 and some odd years, whatever the case may be. But for the most part, the kids got to figure out this monster's name because they can't leave the town. Every time they try to leave, it like does that looping thing that you see in movies. They're trying to do that. So for the most part, it's made for kids. I shouldn't have ever picked this up. It's a kid's book. So for the most part, it is what it is. All right, guys, that's my haul for this week. Be sure to check it out on Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and the boys over at Blaster Stash It. We're going to be talking about these books as a group. You're more than welcome to come. We'll have a chat open and live. Again, that's Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Swing them by. Tell us what we're missing in these comic books. If you agree, disagree, just come join the community. We have fun while we're doing it. All right, guys, I got nothing else. I got to roll out of here. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.